All right. So this is my week 17 NFL Power Rankings. Let's get started. At number 32, we have the Carolina Panthers, 2 and 13 on the season. Not a good team. They did play really solid this week, only losing by 3 to the Packers. They actually put up 30 points, and Bryce Young had over 300 yards passing. So they did not play horrible this week, but still the worst team in football, eliminated from the playoffs, and currently in line to get the first overall pick, which, of course, will not be going to the Carolina Panthers. It will be going to the Chicago Bears. At number 31, we got the Washington Commanders. They're not a very good team either. They lost 30-28 versus the Jets. This is 2 weeks in a row now that Sam Howell has gotten benched for Jacoby Brissett, and Jacoby Brissett has put up better numbers in like a third of the time playing. Brissett threw only 13 passes and still had almost double the amount of yards as Sam Howell in this game. So that's pretty sad for Sam Howell, and they did label Jacoby Brissett as a starter going forward for the last 2 games this season. But they got to play against the Niners and the Cowboys, so they're probably still not going to win either of those games. But that's probably good for them because they're currently already eliminated from the playoffs and do have a potential way to get the first overall pick if the Carolina Panthers somehow win both of their last 2 games. It's not very likely, but right now the Commanders are probably going to get a top 3 to 4 pick. At number 30, we got the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3 and 12. Going to drop down 4 spots here in my rankings. They lost by 11 points to the Bears. I thought they would have a little more competitive game. They were without top receiver Hollywood Brown, so that definitely hurts them a little bit offensively. Kyler Murray still played pretty solid, and James Conner played pretty solid, but the defense let up 27 points, so not a great look for them. They're also currently eliminated from the playoff picture and could have a chance to get the first overall pick. Right now, they're sitting at number 2. They would need the Carolina Panthers to win one of the last 2 games, which is probably not likely. So right now, they're probably going to be sitting here at the number 2 pick. At number 29, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 5 and 10. They played really good this week, only losing to the Bills by 2 points. They had 3 takeaways in that game and 0 turnovers on offense, so that really helped them keep them in this game. But ultimately, they still ended up losing. They are now eliminated officially from playoff contention. Not in contention to get the top first overall pick either, so kind of stuck in no man's land. So it's not the worst thing if they do end up winning one of their last 2 games or something, just because they got to play the Broncos this week, which is going to be a battle between Jarrett Stidham and Easton Stick. So that's going to be a very boring game to watch for any NFL fan. And they got Kansas City in Week 18. At number 28, we got the New York Giants, who are 5 and 10. They played pretty solid this week, only losing by 8 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Tommy DeVito did get benched for Tyrod Taylor, and they're going to be starting Tyrod Taylor for the last 2 games of the season. So Tommy DeVito's little insanity run is now come to an end. But, we've seen that with a lot of the starting quarterbacks that, started really good, like Jake Browning started playing really good his first few games. Since then, not so much. Tommy DeVito, obviously. Nick Mullins a little bit. He never really started really great, but, Josh Dobbs for sure. He started really good in his first few games, first 10 games overall this season for Josh Dobbs, and then ultimately just fell off. So we see that with a lot of these quarterbacks. They are surprising you because you have no expectation for them to do anything. And then they surprise you for a few games, and then they ultimately do end up falling back down to earth. At number 27, we got the New York Jets, who are 6 and 9 right now. They did end up winning this week, 30-28. Trevor Siemian is actually the starting quarterback, and he played pretty solid, 217 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Breece Hall probably won a lot of people with their fantasy matchups. He won me my fantasy matchup this week. He had 2 touchdowns, 191 total yards, 12 receptions. His best game of his career, probably this far, definitely of the season, probably of his career. I haven't really looked too far into that, but I would assume this is his best performance of his career, and it could not have come at a better time for fantasy managers of Breece Hall. If you're going against Breece Hall, then it could not have come at a worse time. So that sucks for them, but it was good for me. At number 26, we got the New England Patriots, who are 4 and 11 right now. They actually ended up winning against the Broncos 26-23 this week. Bailey Zappi had 256 yards and 2 touchdowns, so they did not play bad at all in this game. So it's a really solid win for this Patriots team, who just made it that much more difficult for them to be able to get the number 1 overall pick, and it put them down away from getting the number 2 overall pick as well, which definitely hurts them a little bit because at number 2, you definitely have the chance to pick probably Drake May or any other quarterback outside of Caleb Williams, assuming Caleb Williams goes number 1. But even at number 2, you definitely have a shot of getting Caleb Williams. Right now, you're going to be sitting here at the 3-4 pick, so you probably don't have a shot to get Caleb Williams at all, and maybe not even a shot to get Drake May. So getting a win there is definitely a morale boost, but it's definitely not good overall for the future outlook of this team. At number 25, we got the Minnesota Vikings, who are 7-8. They've not been playing great this week, last couple of weeks. They lost 30-24 to the Lions. Actually, not a horrible game, but Nick Mullins had 4 interceptions. He did have 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also 4 interceptions. Just a prime Jameis Winston game there. But they also said they are going to be starting Jaron Hall for the last couple of games here. I don't think he's going to be as good as Nick Mullins, but I think he hasn't really had anything to do all season. He started one game and played like half a quarter before he got injured, so it's going to be interesting to see what you got out of your rookie in Jaron Hall. Probably not a whole lot, but you definitely do need to use these last couple of games to try to evaluate him a little bit. At number 24, we got the Chicago Bears, who are 6-9, who won 27-16 versus the Cardinals this week. So pretty solid performance this week for the Bears. Justin Fields played actually really solid. He had 170 yards and a touchdown, but also 97 rushing yards and another touchdown on top of that. So that was really good for them. They are 6-9 right now. Technically not eliminated from the playoffs. They could get the 6 or 7 seed, but it's not going to be likely for them to be able to do that. And they are going to probably have the first overall pick anyways from the Carolina Panthers. So winning right now is definitely the best thing for this team. I know losing still gets you a better draft pick, but I don't think the 11th overall pick versus the 7th overall pick is going to be too much of a difference, considering you already are probably going to have the first overall pick. At number 23, we got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos team, yikes. Utter collapse. You cannot be losing this game to the New England Patriots like that. It's kind of actually it's kind of sad. You also cut Kareem Jackson. You bench Russell Wilson for Jarrett Stidham. So, you're just basically giving up on the season, even though you still could be a 6 or 7 seed in this AFC wildcard race. It's definitely not likely. They're definitely not completely out of the picture, but now with Jarrett Stidham on the team, it's definitely a lot less likely. And now the likelihood is that Russell Wilson has played his final game for Denver and is going to be cut by the end of the season, or technically before the new league season starts, or whatever, in March. Something like that, and then he'll get picked up probably by a team like I would say like the Pittsburgh Steelers, Buccaneers, or Atlanta Falcons have a really good shot to land a guy like Russell Wilson. He could help him out a lot. My personal favorite pick there would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, but yeah. At number 22, we got the Tennessee Titans, who are 5-10, who only lost by 3, 20-17 versus the Seattle Seahawks. Ryan Tannehill was actually the starter in this game because Will Levis was injured. He didn't play horrible, definitely played better than he was playing at the beginning of the season, so that's good to see that he still can be a competent quarterback sometimes, but he definitely didn't play the best. He didn't have a single touchdown, not even 200 total yards with his rushing there. But Derrick Henry played really, really good, having 100 total yards, a touchdown, and then another passing touchdown on top of that. So Derrick Henry played really good for fantasy managers. I was also one of the fantasy managers for Derrick Henry. But right now, you're eliminated from the playoffs. No chance to get the first overall pick. So you're going to try to win your last couple of games. It would definitely be cool because you got to play 2 divisional rivals in this game that are fighting for playoff spots with the Texans and the Jags next up. So if you guys can beat both of them, that's definitely, you're going to try to beat your division rivals to keep them out of the playoffs. So you definitely have some motivation for your last 2 games. At number 21, we do got the Green Bay Packers, who are 7-8. Not the best game for the Packers this week. Only won by 3 versus the Carolina Panthers, but a win is a win still. So, still not horrible. You're 7-8 right now. Definitely have a shot to make the playoffs. You could potentially be a 6 or 7 seed. You're just gonna have to win your remaining games against the Vikings and the Bears, which is very, very doable. But you're gonna need some help from Seattle and Los Angeles Rams to be losing a couple of games there. But overall, you definitely have a real shot at making the playoffs still. So, and you don't have the hardest schedule remaining. So I would assume you guys very well could be 9-8 at the end of the season, but still 9-8 is not a guarantee that you would make the playoffs. At number 20, we got the New Orleans Saints, who are 7-8. I know the Saints division is going to be very interesting to see what happens. You're going to need, for any chance for the Saints or the Falcons to be the number one seed, you're going to need the Buccaneers to lose out, which means they have to lose to the Carolina Panthers in week 18. So that's probably not likely going to happen. But right now, we got a matchup here between the Buccaneers and the Saints in week 17. So the Saints obviously are going to have to win this game if they want a chance to win the division. But like I just said, even though winning this game, you're probably not going to win the division because Tampa Bay is probably not going to lose to the Carolina Panthers. But you still could win this game and win your Week 18 game and very well be 9-8 and have a wild card spot. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. You could be a 4, 6, or 7 seed at this point, or you could just be out of the playoff picture like you are currently. But there's definitely a possibility you go 9-8 out of the 4 seed. There's also a possibility you're 9-8 and you're out of the playoffs. And right here, the Atlanta Falcons, you got the exact same scenario here for the Atlanta Falcons. The only difference here for the Falcons is that, hold up, let me find them. The only difference for the Falcons is that you got to play the Chicago Bears this week instead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So really, you definitely could be able to beat the Bears, and then if you beat the Bears and the Saints beat the Buccaneers this week, you guys will both be 8-8, and then that matchup between the Saints and Falcons, the Week 18, could potentially be for the division title, or just could be for the 6 or 7 seed, or it could just be for nothing because you could both go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. But you're going to need some help from Carolina to be able to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're going to need the New Orleans Saints to beat the Buccaneers for a chance that you guys could be the number 4 seed in the playoff picture. At number 18, we got the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 7-8, coming off a very good victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. They won a game in where they did not complete a single pass outside of the first quarter. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but the Chiefs played atrocious on offense all game. Raiders got 2 touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns within 7 seconds of each other because the Chiefs had some major offensive collapses and a couple back-to-back plays. So definitely not very good for the Chiefs there, but it's a good thing for the Raiders that they're looking really good at this point in the season. You definitely have a chance to make the playoffs. You definitely have a chance, still technically have a chance to be the lead of your division. If you guys win out and Kansas City loses out, you could potentially be the 3 or the 4 seed in the wild card race, or you could go 9-8, lose the division, but still potentially be a 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs right now. My prediction is that you will likely be out of the playoff picture. You don't have the hardest schedule. You got the Colts this week and then the Broncos. I would assume you probably lose to the Colts, which is gonna, I think, already eliminate you from the playoffs. But if you can somehow be able to beat the Colts, I think you have a very winnable game in Week 18 against Denver that could potentially put you guys in the playoff picture. At number 17, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 8-7, lost this week 34-11 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So definitely not the best game for the Cincinnati Bengals this week. They did not have a Jamar Chase this week, which hurt their offense a lot, which I expected that it would. Jake Browning still had 335 yards and a touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions, so definitely not the best game for him. T. Higgins had 140 yards and a touchdown, so he played really solid in Jamar Chase's absence. But you're also probably going to be without Jamar Chase for this upcoming game against Kansas City. And I know Kansas City's offense has been really bad so far, or like the last couple of weeks, but I still feel like Kansas City Chiefs have the likelihood that they're going to be able to beat you, considering their game is also at home, and you're going to be without Jamar Chase, their best offensive weapon. So I think the Chiefs will probably end up beating you there, and then you're going to be 8-8, and it's going to be an uphill battle there to be able to make the playoffs at 8-8, considering you got the Cleveland Browns in the Week 18 game. So I think the likelihood is that you're going to go 8-9 and finish the season outside of the playoffs. But you very well could potentially be the 6 or the 7 seed if you can get a couple wins here in the next 2 weeks. Number 16, we got the Indianapolis Colts, who are 8-7, dropping 5 spots in my rankings after they got destroyed by the Atlanta Falcons. I believe it was 29-10. Not the best performance here for the Indianapolis Colts. Gardner Minshew had 200 yards and a pick, 0 touchdowns to his name. Not good there. Right now, you got 2 matchups left against the Raiders and the Texans. As long as you beat the Raiders, then that Houston Texans game could potentially be a fight for the division title, or just a fight for a playoff seed there. Because the winner of that game is likely going to be in the playoffs, even if you lose this week. So that's good there. But if you win this week, in that winner of the Texans game in Week 18 could potentially be for the division title if Jacksonville loses one of their remaining two games. Right now, as it stands, the Indianapolis Colts could be the 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 seed, or they could be missing the playoffs. You could go 10-7 um, and be the 3 seed or the 4 seed. You could go 10-7 and be the 5 or the 6 or the 7 seed, or you could just be out of the playoffs at 9-8 or 8-9. At number 15, we got the Houston Texans, who are 8-8, or 8-7. I'm sorry. They're going to be in the same position, like I just said, with the Indianapolis Colts. I like that their Week 18 game against the Colts is likely going to be for a playoff seed there. So that's definitely going to be a very interesting matchup for them. Their matchup this week is against Tennessee Titans, which should be a very winnable game. But like I said, Tennessee, is going to be trying to knock their division rivals out of the playoffs. So you're going to not have the easiest task ahead of you. But you do have C.J. Stroud back in this game, so it's definitely going to help you a lot there. But it's still not a guaranteed win, considering the Titans are going to be fighting as hard as they can to keep you guys out of the playoffs. Number 14, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like I just said, you guys are in the same position as the Texans and the Colts. You guys just have a little bit of an upper hand because you currently own the tiebreaker over both of those teams. So as long as you guys don't crap yourself against the Carolina Panthers this week, then you should likely be guaranteed a playoff spot. If you win this week, you'll be guaranteed a playoff spot. If you lose this week to the Panthers somehow, then you're probably going to end up losing your division. It's going to be very, very sad for you guys, but I think you'll be able to beat the Panthers even without Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is doubtful for this week, but I think Phoebe Bethard can beat the Carolina Panthers, but it's definitely not a complete guarantee there. And then you got the Tennessee Titans in Week 18. Like I said earlier, the Titans are going to be with a vengeance to try to keep their division rivals out of the playoffs. But right now, as long as you win your last two games, you'll be the 3. You'll probably be the 4th seed there. Potentially could be the 3 seed if Kansas City loses couple more games, but you'll probably be the 4th seed if you win your last 2 games. If you lose both of them, you'll be out of the playoffs. If you win one of them, you could still be the 4th seed, or you could be potentially the 6th or the 7th seed if Houston or Indianapolis wins out and you lose one of your games. At number 13, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 8-7 right now. Mike Tomlin just is allergic to having a losing season, so it's definitely interesting. They were able to blow out the Bengals this week, 34-11. Mason Rudolph had almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. George Pickens had almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. He probably saved a whole bunch of people in fantasy. He was on my fantasy team, but I released him a few weeks ago because he wasn't really doing a whole lot. Not like it really matters because I already am in the championship in both of my fantasy leagues without George Pickens on my roster, so I'm not really missing him too much, but it definitely would have been cool to have him on my team. But yeah, for the Steelers right now, definitely have a shot to make the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be very likely considering you are currently 8-7 and currently on the outside looking in and don't have the easiest schedule remaining. You got the Seahawks and the Ravens coming up. It's definitely not the easiest schedule, but you do have a world in where you win out and Cleveland Browns lose out, and you guys can be the 5 seed, or you can still go 10-7 or 9-8 and potentially be the 6 or the 7 seed as well, or you could go 10-7 and still be out of the playoff picture. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen for you, and it's all not really in your control. You guys can win out and be the 5 seed. You can win out and be out of the playoffs. So you're going to hope for a lot of help in the next couple weeks. Number 12, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving up 7 spots here. They're 8-7. Right now, like I already talked about their division stuff earlier, you guys got the upper hand on both the Saints and the Falcons. As long as you guys don't lose to the Carolina Panthers in Week 18, you guys will be the leaders of your division. You get to play the Saints this week. It does not really matter if you win or lose, because winning, guarantees you the 4th seed. Losing, just means you have to beat the Panthers to be the 4th seed. So I don't really think there's a world in where you guys lose to the Panthers. That would be very, very sad for you guys. So that really shouldn't be much of a problem for you guys. But as it stands right now, you guys very well could be out of the playoffs, or you could be the 4th seed. That's the only 2 scenarios. You can be the 4th seed, or you can miss the playoff. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen for you guys. At number 11, we got the Los Angeles Rams, who are 8-7. Pretty good record for them right now. They're currently in the playoff picture. For the Los Angeles Rams, they have a couple seeds they can be. I think it's just the 6th and the 7th seed. Let me go find them real quick. Where's they at? Where are they at? Yeah, right now you can be the sixth or the seventh seed, or you can be out of the playoffs. So you got to play the New York Giants this week, so it shouldn't be shouldn't be the hardest game for you guys to win. If you win that game, I believe you will be secured a playoff spot. I think not 100% sure there, but I think you'll be secured a playoff spot if you win your week 17 game against the New York Giants. And then you got to play the 49ers in week 18. So that might be a difficult game because Niners are going to be coming into that game probably needing a win to be able to be the one seed. So it's definitely not going to be an easy task in week 18, but you should be able to be the six or seven seed with losing that game still. At number 10, we got the Seattle Seahawks, same position as the Rams. Basically, you guys are 8-7, currently fighting for that 6 and 7 seed in the NFC. Right now, the Rams have a better shot than you of doing that, probably because I think they have an easier schedule because they got to play the Giants, and you don't have you don't really have an easy game left. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you got the Arizona Cardinals, I guess. So you got an easier game in the Cardinals, but I think the Giants is easier than the Cardinals game is going to be. Um, but you guys will probably be in the playoffs. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers this week, so that might be a tough game there. But you guys can probably still lose that game and then beat Arizona Cardinals in week 18 to be able to be the 7 seed there. So, this week isn't too important for you guys as long as you take care of business in week 18. You guys should be in the playoffs. And you're going to be fighting for the 6 and 7 seed, or if you lose both your games, you're going to be out of the playoffs. At number 9, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys are, Chiefs offense is atrocious right now. Their defense only allowed 6 points all game. The defense did not allow a single completion after the first quarter, and you guys still lost this game. I don't know how that's even possible. Your offense just absolutely sucks. You gave the Raiders 14 points when you were on offense. There was the same amount of points scored for the Chiefs and the Raiders while the Chiefs were on offense. Chiefs scored 14 points on offense. Raiders scored 14 points when the Chiefs were on offense. So it's very, very sad to see that for the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, this team is not looking like a playoff Super Bowl contender. You're hardly looking like a playoff team. You're only going to be a playoff team because the rest of the division is just trash. As long as you guys don't lose out, but you got the Bengals and the Chargers. If you guys lose out to the Bengals and the Chargers, the Jake Browning and the Easton Stick, you guys don't deserve to be in the playoffs. You guys don't deserve to be in the NFL. If you lose your last 3 games and knocks you out of the playoffs by losing to Aiden O'Connell, Jake Browning, and Easton Stick, that's really all I got to say about your team, which is also my team. But got to be harsh to my own team. At number 8, we got the Dallas Cowboys, who are 10-5. Lost by 2 this week to the Dolphins. Not a bad game for them, but I do believe it's going to make it very, very difficult for them to be able to be the 1 seed or the lead of their division right now because they're 1 game back behind the Eagles and the 49ers right now. And the Eagles probably aren't going to lose another game. Definitely not going to lose both of their games. So the Cowboys probably going to be locked in to this 5 seed right now. This week they got to play the Detroit Lions. Very much still going to be trying to win this game, obviously, because there's still a certain chance that you guys are the number 1 or the number 2 seed in the NFL this year. But it's probably not going to be very likely, but you're still going to be fighting to win this week against the Lions, and you're probably not going to start any of your good players next week against the Washington Commanders, but you might still be able to beat the Commanders just because they're the Commanders. But yeah, you guys, played a really good game this week against the Miami Dolphins, just happened to lose to a really good team. At number 7, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. 11-4, but you guys barely beat the Giants. You beat the Giants by 8 points. I feel like you should beat the Giants by more than 1 possession. A win is a win, I guess, and you're giving yourself a good lead to be able to be the lead of your division, potentially be the lead of the whole NFC. If the 49ers can lose 1 game and you guys win out, I don't know if that's going to be very likely, but I think it's more likely that the Niners lose a game than you do right now for the last 2 games. So that's a good thing for the Philadelphia Eagles, but likely you guys are going to end up with the 2 seed. You got to play the Cardinals and the Giants, so you should be able to beat both those teams very, very easily, and you should be 13-4 and probably be the 2 seed right now. But as it stands, you very well could be the 2 seed, or you could be the 1 seed, or you could be the 5, 6, 7. Wait, hold up. Never mind. I'm sorry. Let me start over. You could be the 1, 2, 3, or the 5 seed. I was looking at the wrong team. You could be the 1, 2, 3 seed, or you could be the 5 seed right now. So, it's definitely a lot of things that could happen, but you're likely going to be locked into that 2 seed. At number 6, we got the Buffalo Bills. They're going to be in a very, very weird spot right now. They are 9-6. They played a good game, kind of, against the Chargers. They only won by 2 with 3 turnovers on offense, but a win is a win still, so it's definitely solid there. You got the Patriots this week. If you guys lose to the Patriots, then that just kind of sucks. But I'm assuming you guys are going to beat the Patriots, and the Dolphins very well could lose their game this week against who the Dolphins play. Hold up. Baltimore, yeah. So if Miami loses to Baltimore this week and you guys beat New England, then that makes the Buffalo Miami game in Week 18 the fight for the division. So you guys very well could be the 2 seed in the AFC this year if Miami loses out and you guys win out, which is not a very unlikely scenario right now. So it's a very real possibility that the Buffalo Bills are the 2 seed come the end of the season, and then they'll probably be playing a team like the I don't know, like the Steelers or the Texans or something in first round. But you very well could be the 2 seed, or you could just be the 5, 6, or 7 seed. If Miami wins against the Ravens, then you guys don't have a chance. You could be the 5 seed still, if you guys win out and Cleveland loses out, or you could be the 6 or 7 seed if you guys just end up 10-7, or even 11-6. You guys might still be the 5 or 6 or the 7 seed there. Or you guys could just lose out and miss the playoffs entirely. So you have a lot on the line the next couple of weeks. You can be the 2 seed, or you can be out of the playoffs. At number 5, we got the Detroit Lions, who are 11-4, playing really good football this year. Won 30-24 versus the Vikings. Not the best win there. Did have 4 takeaways on defense. That's something good, but they also still allowed 400 yards. So I don't know how that's even possible for your defense. But still got a good win here. You got to play Dallas this week. It's going to be a very interesting game. I don't think you guys are going to beat Dallas, but you definitely could. Right now, you could potentially be the number 1 seed if you guys win out and Philly and San Francisco both lose 1 game, but it's not very likely that that's going to happen. I would expect you guys to lose to Dallas this year. And if you guys lose to Dallas this week, you have nothing to play for in Week 18 because you're going to be locked into that 3 seed no matter what, which is actually what I am rooting for, because then I guess that's only if Philly and San Fran both win this week. But I would assume Philly, San Fran win, and then you guys lose. That would put you locked into the 3 seed. That's what I'm rooting for, because then we should be able to get a Teddy Bridgewater game in Week 18 for his last game of his NFL career. At number 4, we got the Cleveland Browns. They're a very interesting team right now. They're playing really, really good football. Joe Flacco's thrown a lot of interceptions, but he still has a lot of yards. I saw this thing that if he had been playing all season with these same stats, he'd be on pace to break the single-season passing yards record, which is very, very interesting to see, because considering this guy's like 38, 39 years old and just comes into the season in December and leading a team to the playoffs. So very interesting scenario for the Cleveland Browns. But specifically this week, they beat the Texans by 14. He had 368 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. A really good game there. Still a couple turnovers, but really good other numbers to back it up. And then Amari Cooper went nuclear with 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 11 receptions. Definitely carried a lot of people to a fantasy victory this week. Not me, but he did really, really good. But the Browns right now, they still could be the number 1 seed in the AFC. If the Browns win out and the Ravens lose out, the Browns are the 1 seed, as long as Buffalo beats Miami. But it's a very, very real possibility. Not the most likely scenario, but it's definitely not out of the question entirely for the Browns to be able to be the number 1 seed in the NFL, or the number 2 seed if Miami wins, and then you guys win out and Baltimore loses out. So you could be the one seed, the 2 seed, the 5, 6, 7, or you could be out of the playoffs. So in 2 weeks, you could be the 1 seed, or you could be out of the playoffs entirely. So there's a whole lot on the line for you guys. But you'll likely at least make the playoffs as long as you guys don't screw it up and lose to the Jets or the Bengals. You got to lose to both those teams to be out of the playoffs, and I don't think that's going to happen. So you should be locked into a playoff seed. I don't expect you guys to win the division, because I don't think Baltimore's going to lose both games. But you'll likely be the 5 seed and end up playing whoever the winner of the AFC South is right now, which you guys will probably be able to win. At number 3, we got the Miami Dolphins, 11-4, number 3 in our power rankings, so pretty good spot for them. They beat the Cowboys this week, 22-20. They're playing really good football for the most part this season. Jalen Waddle did get injured in this game and is questionable to play this week against Baltimore. If Jalen Waddle does not play against Baltimore, they have no chance of winning that game. Even with him in there, I don't really expect them to win that game. But like I already said with Buffalo, if Miami loses to Baltimore, then that game against Buffalo in Week 18 is for the division and for the number 2 seed. So definitely a really important game there. If you guys can somehow take care of business against Baltimore this week, then you guys should be locked into the number 1 seed in the NFL, in the AFC at least. So that should be really good for you guys. But I don't really expect you guys to beat Baltimore this week, which means Week 18 matchup against Buffalo Bills is going to be a very, very important matchup for you guys. But as it stands right now, you guys could potentially be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 5, or even the 6 seed right now. So still a lot on the line, and you don't have an easy schedule to finish out the season. At number 2, we got the San Francisco 49ers, who are 11-4. Did not really play a great game this week against the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 33-19. They had 5 turnovers overall. Purdy had 4 interceptions. Sam Darnold came in and threw another interception. They still had 3 different players with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk go over 100 yards. So their offense still produced. They just had 5 interceptions. At the same time, which is interesting to see. But right now, the Niners, you got 2 games left against the Commanders and the Rams. So I feel like you guys should be able to win out and be the number 1 seed. If you guys somehow lose one of those 2 games, then Philadelphia or Detroit could jump over you, or both of them could jump over you, and you could be as low as a 3 seed. But right now, you'll probably be the 1 seed, but you could potentially be the 2 or the 3 seed. At number 1, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are 12-3. Best team in football right now. Definitely, they just beat the 49ers by 14 points and had 5 takeaways on their defense. So really, really good game for them. Right now, they got Miami coming up this week, which if they beat Miami, they'll be locked into the number 1 seed. So they got to play Pittsburgh in Week 18. If they beat Miami, they'll probably rest in their guys, and then Pittsburgh, will have a chance to probably salvage their non-losing season streak for Mike Tomlin in the Week 18 game against Baltimore. So not that it really matters for Baltimore specifically. But if you guys lose to Miami this week, you still could be the 1 seed as long as you guys beat Pittsburgh and Miami loses to Buffalo. But also, if you guys lose both of your games and the Cleveland Browns win both of their games, you could potentially be all the way down at the 5 seed. So a lot of stuff on the line for you guys. You just got to take care of business. So yeah, now we go to my game picks. I went 12-4 last week, so pretty solid there. My lock of the week missed. I think my upset of the week did hit though. I think right, yeah. Okay, my total record is 155-85, so pretty solid there. My lock of the week. Oh, no, we'll just get that later. My game picks, right? We got Cleveland Browns over the Jets. That should be pretty easy there. The Cowboys over the Lions. That should be a fun game there. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys in that one. This is actually rare. It's rare time when they're gonna be where I'm gonna be rooting for the Cowboys to win, just because I want to see Teddy Bridgewater play in the Week 18 game for the Lions. 49ers over the Commanders should be easy. Eagles over Cardinals should be easy. Falcons Bears should be a fun game. I expect the Falcons to win this game because they really need to win this game for any chance of making the playoffs. And they played really good last week, so I'm thinking they're going to do the same thing this week. Ravens Dolphins, sorry, should be a very close game. I'm going to pick Baltimore just because they've been playing the best football all season. Bills Patriots should be easy, but the Bills did lose to the Patriots earlier in the season. Saints and Bucks. Oh, sorry, I'm picking the Saints there. I didn't highlight it, but I'm picking the Saints in that game for sure. It should be a fun game. Matters a lot for potential division titles and stuff, but I'm going to pick the Saints in that game. It should be a close game, but I'm picking the Saints. Jags over Panthers shouldn't be too difficult, but Jags might be having C.J. Beathard in that game, so it definitely could be closer than it should be. But I'm still going to pick the Jags in that game, even with C.J. Beathard. Rams over Giants shouldn't be too difficult. Colts Raiders. Colts are the better team. Raiders have been playing good the last 2 weeks, but the Colts are the better team. They should win this game. Texans over Titans. Texans really should win this game. Titans might make it closer than it should be, but the Texans really need this win, and I believe in them to get it done. Seahawks over Steelers. Kenny Pickett's probably still not playing in this game. I know Mason Rudolph just played really, really good last week, but I'm still going to pick Seattle in this game because I just think they're the better team. Chiefs over Bengals. It should not be very difficult for the Chiefs to win this game, but if the Chiefs' offense play like it did against the Raiders, they're going to lose this game by like 40 probably because they, suck that bad. But I think they'll probably win this game. Broncos Chargers should be a very boring game between Jarrett Stidham and Easton Stick. I'm going to pick the Broncos because, I don't really know why. Because they got better weapons, I guess, because Keenan Allen might not play again. I guess that's the only reason. But yeah, it should not be a game that anybody will want to be watching. Because not a lot of players even have these dudes on fantasy. You may have Cortland Sutton or Austin Eckler in fantasy. That's about it. You might not even have Cortland Sutton. You might not even have Austin Eckler because, you know, yeah, Packers, Vikings. I'm gonna pick the Packers in this game. It's not really too important. I know both these teams could currently still make the playoffs, but I don't think either one of them will. But this game definitely matters for potential playoff hopes. But either way, I'm picking the Packers. I'm not really too um, confident in that answer, but I don't think either one of these teams are very, very good right now. So it's not going to be the most entertaining game because Packers almost lost to the Panthers last week, and the you know Vikings are starting Jaron Hall, who's played like 10 snaps all season. Lock of the week here, we got the Texans. That shouldn't be too difficult. That's why that's my lock of the week. And I'm running out of other teams to have as my lock of the week. So I'm only trying to pick every team once. Falcons are going to be the upset. I'm not really sure why the Falcons are an upset over the Bears. I think they're the better team than the Bears. They just played a really good game this week. I don't expect them to do anything worse than that next week against the Bears. So that's why I'm picking the Falcons there. So yeah, I think this video is probably longer than my last ones, but I had to talk about a whole lot of different playoff scenarios and stuff. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to come back next week for an updated power rankings list and check out my NBA videos as well.